That's great. That's good. And your son is taking after you too.
Yeah, right.
Well, you're volunteering.
Okay, team, welcome, everybody.
Wow.
We'll get the meeting going with this reading. This meeting is being recorded and broadcast on the Town of Barnstable's Government Access Channel in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 20. The chair must inquire whether anyone else is recording this meeting, and if so, make themselves known.
I don't think they were.
Okay, I think we're good. Move on. So we'll have a roll call, please. I'll start with Maureen on the left.
Tony.
Rich Fresh. Bill Carey.
Renee King.
Pete Sample.
Nina Coleman. Donna Bragg.
Tom O'Neill.
Chris Kelsey.
Thanks, Chris. Okay, minutes from October. Anybody have any comments about the minutes?
I'll move that we approve them as printed.
Second. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay, motion carried, thank you. Notes from the chair. I'll just cover this now because I forgot my glasses and I may not be able to see it later, but, or I can sort of read it, but. I just want to say, huge thank you to you guys for showing up at that meeting.
In force.
In force.
Oh, yeah.
We had virtually the entire board. Bill was working, I think, so he couldn't make it. But it's a huge milestone. I mean, we've been, as I mentioned in my first presentations to the town council, some of us have been working on this for 10 years, almost 10 years. Mm-hmm. And the decision, by the town council was a huge step forward, not just because we got the money to continue the project, to give us that bridge loan, so to speak, but also because it was a huge, very significant endorsement of the project. And that's really what I was looking for, and it was a unanimous vote. So that was a huge milestone for us to have achieved. And
I think I remember them saying what a good project it was.
I mean, it was. They almost couldn't get the vote out fast enough. It was that kind of thing. Yep. So thanks so much for your support on that and all through the project. It's been a lot of years for some of us and certainly for the staff. This has been a pretty seminal project, really, for Sandy Neck. And I think thanks to everybody that's helped. But we still have a way to go. We have before we even get to construction. So I just wanted to mention that in the sense that we still have to achieve funding. We haven't achieved all the funding. Hard to say how the changes in Washington could affect that. I don't know at this point, but it's certainly a possibility. But we're plowing ahead with that, and we're pretty confident, and I know Nina and her team are confident that we'll get more funding. At the same time as we're doing that, we need to also be consciously vigilant on cost control, on the project costs, and making sure the project stays contained, that you don't get creep in the project. And why this is so important is because we know some of the numbers we have now are not necessarily considering, how the inflation rate will move in the next year or so. So, we just need to be really cautious about keeping things contained. Then we're going to move to the next step, which is construction, which then presents another whole set of challenges, particularly for Nina and her team, on project management, project cost management, keeping project tight, keeping it on time, keeping it on budget, and be mindful at the same time of all our stakeholders that have supported the project, obviously the town council, Mark Ells, but also the various stakeholders that participated in public meetings who contributed, their thoughts and now have a vision of what's going to happen down there. And it's important for us to make sure we deliver that in the end. So just a couple, thank yous, but also just some words of, kind of warning, so to speak, that we have a long way to go to get this to the point where we're all kind of happy with it and it's a project completed. I mean, it's a couple of years away before we've actually completed the project. So great time to be thankful, great time to be ecstatic about the progress we've made, and a lot of people supporting the project, which is great. So, I think we have a good project ahead of us, some good headwinds on the funding, hopefully, and, we'll hopefully have some good news on that early next year, I guess, right? That'll be the next big slug of funding potential. So In the meantime, everybody keep your heads down, and if you think of anything that can improve or help the project in any way, I'm sure I'll hear from you about it. So, okay, that was my words of wisdom for tonight. Correspondence. Okay, then we'll go to staff report.
Okay, staff report. All right, here we are, November already. Doesn't feel like it. Busy, beach is very busy because of this amazing fall, which is kind of making me wonder what shoe is gonna drop this winter. Do you feel that way as well?
Oh, yes.
It's just like, this is just too nice.
Pay me now, or you pay me later.
Right, exactly, thank you very much. So we're pretty busy. The gatehouse is open by appointment only, although we're often there. The ORV beach is 8 to 4 p.m. This is no campfire time of the year. Obviously, everybody knows it's super dry out there, so be very careful. I'm hearing on the scanner, brush fires all the time, so be very cautious out in our town. ORV campers must continue to make reservations, even though they're not paying for the overnight. They obviously still need to have a off-road vehicle permit, which is a triangular permit. They don't have to pay for the night, but they need to go on and make the reservations, so safety-wise, we know where they are.
Right, and not only that, it gives us a good judgment, statistically, of how many people use the camp on the off-season, which is good.
Just a quick question on the campfires. I'm assuming that if you're on the ORV beach camping, you're not allowed either.
No campfires.
How about if you're camping out at in the woods?
No
No
campfires.
Okay.
Yeah, so we don't have any staff on after 4:30, so, wow, it's just not safe to have that activity. All right, we are in cold stun sea turtle season. It's pretty late this year, right? Back in my day, we would be done by Thanksgiving. So, we're just starting. Waters are warm. We just dropped below 55, I think is the threshold. So far, we've had 6 turtles, 5 at Sandy Neck and 1 at Scudder, when we had those big tides and the north wind. So we are patrolling after tides, and certainly when the wind is out of the north, or northeast, we're out and about constantly.
And Turtle Team 1.
Turtle Team 1 goes out in the middle of the night.
It's like having a baby. You feed it tonight.
Yeah, we're pretty much round the clock at this point.
Except when they're starting to come in by the hundreds, then everybody wants to go out. So
Yeah,
then we have,
that's right.
then we have 50 people out there. Not just Margie.
So this picture is of Camp Ridley's. They're about this big. That's a juvenile turtle. This was from a number of years ago. They're staged in the garage. You can see we have we have thermometers on them. We try to hold them at about 55 degrees with space heaters. So we've prepped the garage. The garage is the triage for Sandwich and Bourne. Kind of everybody brings their turtles to us. And then Mass Audubon comes and collects them at the garage and brings them up to the aquarium.
What's amazing is that when they come out of the water, there are times when they're like, 40 degrees? I mean, they're almost...
Yeah, they're really
They
cold.
feel like they're frozen. I mean, there's some... And sometimes they're still alive, but,
Actually, one of those is a green.
yeah.
One of these is not like the other. What's that song? Anybody want to figure out which one's a green turtle?
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock.
If the top is,
Yes.
the top
I
is.
will go show. I can't help myself.
Which one
We
is
call
not
the
a green?
greens pinheads.
Right here. That
Oh,
one right there.
And you
Yeah.
can kind of see they tend to be they're really pretty. They're quite, gummed up at this point, but once they're all scrubbed up, they're very pretty. Whereas the Kemp's Ridleys are a little more olive and a little drab. So that's a green pinhead. Where was I? Okay. Anyone interested in volunteering should contact Mass Audubon. They have a whole program. You do have to have a federal permit to touch these animals. And so they farm out their federal permits to their volunteers. If a patron finds a sea turtle on the beach or in Barnstable Harbor, we're getting a lot of Barnstable Harbor strandings recently. Do not put it back in the water. It is not going to survive. It needs to be transported and rehabbed in order to survive. Move it above the high tide line and cover it with seaweed, especially if it's below freezing. We don't want it to get frostbite. Mark the location buoy, a big arrow. I've had that before. Arrow turtle written out in the sand. I was like, okay, we found it. Driftwood, like stuck in the ground so it's sticking up, will help as well, so we can find it and report findings to the gatehouse.
Quick question.
Actually, if you can't get the gatehouse, I'm going to give you the number to call.
Okay, that
Okay,
was
if you
my
guys want to take that down.
Or just call me.
Or call me. We just.
We answer.
508-349-2615. And that is Wellfleet Audubon, and they will instruct you if we're not around, but we're always around.
We're always
so.
around.
Can you give that number again, please?
508-349-2615.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
All right, we're having a blowout sale. There's still a lot of really good merch that make excellent stocking stuffers. You just roll those things up and jam it right down in the stocking. So hats, PJ pants would be a lovely gift, I would say, Donna.
Yeah, coffee mugs, we've got them
Coffee mugs.
down to $20 to $10. I have a method to that madness for later on, but they're selling like crazy, so just make an appointment, and or see me in there, knock on the door, and we'll let you in.
And the adult trail shirts, everybody loves those.
Yeah.
Rich probably has the whole array of
I
colors.
think I do.
But we have a really nice orange and a green left,
Yep.
and a bunch of sizes. All right. All right, so as I presented to the town council, part of our $2.8 million grant is a lot of outreach about coastal resiliency. So we've engaged the environmental Upper Cape Tech to do, they're going to continue to work through this project for the next few years. But this year we did beach grass planting with them. So we actually harvested the beach grass from the parking lot where the sand is coming in and it's over the pavement. So you can actually, this time of year, you can actually harvest those bare root. You and I have done it, Rich, with a friend of yours, and you put it back in.
Right.
And actually, that's our intern, Nick Britton from Barnstable High School as well, working on the project. So as I've mentioned, we are engaging young people in the Hyannis. We're doing Hyannis West, and next year the Innovation School for getting all those children to Sandy Neck and getting terrapins in their classrooms and getting our staff into the classrooms. But at the more technical level, we're reaching out to the high schools. And so Upper Cape Tech, already have a good relationship with them. Anne Marie Lupino is on their advisory board. So they've been coming for years, and we're going to continue to use them.
So Nina, is there a possibility to also include Lower Tech? Because Barnstable Sandwich, and they have the horticulture, and they have the same.
Cape Cod Tech,
Cape
as
Cod
opposed
Tech.
to Upper Cape. Upper Cape is Bourne, Cape Cod
Yeah.
Tech is Howard. But most of our kids go to Cape Cod Tech, is what she's saying.
We certainly can. Where I was going with this is we've also started to engage at Barnstable High School, which they have a really beautiful program that actually my son is in, and I am now on their advisory board. They have an environmental technology class, and we're trying to engage them in this project as well, and work to get them to the halfway house. So we can look into Cape Cod Tech as well. I mean, at some point, we're going to get maxed out with the outreach, frankly. It's a lot, but we certainly can see how we can add that to our repertoire. I also usually teach at Cape Cod Community College at least once a year in their Environmental Technologies program, and so I'm going to be bringing this project to that institute as well. So we're really trying to engage our young people, our students, because it's such an important project. And it brings together so many different, parts of environmental technology, really a whole array of different disciplines. So it's been fun.
And I think there's another added advantage for this type of volunteer work. It's unplugged, And it's such a good opportunity for our youth to just be away from it, to do the hands-on work out in the environment.
Yeah, go ahead.
Quick question. So the beach grass planting, is that in the fall? And the question I have, my understanding was, I mean, they got really deep roots when they're well set in. With the drought that we've had, how viable? I mean, we haven't had any rain.
Yeah.
Do these just sort of wait for the rain then? Can they do
They're
that?
dormant, pretty
Okay,
much.
okay.
And you can see, I mean, there's beach grass in front of these young ladies here.
Yep.
But where Nick is, it's all crabgrass.
Oh.
So it's like the primary dune in front of the parking lot
Yeah.
comes down with the beach grass, nice thick beach grass, and then it goes to crabgrass because it's spoils from Barnstable Harbor. So it's so what I'm trying to do is beef up. So crabgrass has little tiny root system, right? We show the kids, look, here's the root system, and then we all know that beach grass has that lateral root system.
And then a really
So it-
deep one then too, upwards to 10 feet sometimes?
Yeah, and then, yeah, and so, we would never take apart a dune or pull vegetation out of it. We're just amending between those grasses already and hopefully beefing it up. We may lose it all, but it's still a learning
Yep,
opportunity.
and if they can lie dormant until it gets wetter,
Yeah.
yeah, cool.
How would we manage that during the project?
How do we manage what?
Well, that beach grass that's growing out in front there.
So
pretty
the
disruptive.
project has an extensive beach grass planting. I think that Amber presented a picture
Yeah,
of
no,
that.
but that's starting all over. This is stuff that's already in place. Will it have to be destroyed? to
No,
get-
you would never destroy, you would just add sand on top. So beach grass is evolved to be able to handle erosion and accretion.
Okay.
So it's very good at dealing
Come
with
through
cover.
the- yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay, another, the Art and Applied Technology, Barnstable High School trip to the halfway house. They've been doing the art out there, so we had those folks come out the last few weeks and stay at the halfway house and start creating.
They had a ball. They really did. Their favorite part was climbing that dune. It really was. They said they never were allowed to climb dunes, and now we actually allowed them, and they said the view was spectacular. Look at them. They were really happy kids.
Weather was good, too.
Weather was
T-shirts.
perfect, yeah.
Yeah, weather's been really good. And then we have a monthly staff newsletter. We're going to have staff send it to you guys, but check it out. Every month we have a little, it's very brief, but it's just a topic of the month. And of course, this month is turtles. And I think that's it.
Nice.
Any questions, or?
Really great to see the halfway house in use.
Yeah, well, you see in the report, it's still pretty lightly used, you know. Okay. So we've talked about the project. Bill's not here, so don't have anything else on public outreach. Some of the issues around economic sustainability sort of pop out a little bit in the staff report, the Concom report, so we can talk about it at that point, but you want to just do that now?
Sure. All right, annual conservation report. Everybody has this one. Do you have a copy? Okay. All right, so let's go through this. I would like to just sum it up, because I was off today with my family and sat down to prep, and I was like, the summation here is revenue is up, plovers are up, terrapins are way up, enforcement is average, and escorts are down. I mean, it's another great year. So we can nitpick through this, but overall, this is pretty darn good. So let's start with plovers. We had an absolutely bonkers year with plovers this year. We had 65 pairs of plovers. Most of my tenure, we've been hovering average around 45. And then 2022, 2023, 2024, we had this bump up every year. And I'm not sure what's going on. I'm not sure if we're a sink, right, for plovers, which means that they're just coming from somewhere else. Or if plovers are doing better. I manage other sites in Barnstable, and they're staying about the same, so I don't know, but we're doing very, very well. So 65 pairs is bonkers. It's very hard to manage that many pairs of birds. And we had 86 chicks fledge, which is a productivity rate of 1.32. So that's good. We're always shooting for a 1.5 or higher, but, you know, it's still very good compared to other sites. Diamondback terrapins,
So can I just ask a question on that? So that productivity rate is down a little bit. What would you say that is because of? Is
well,
washovers or depredation or?
yeah, always the same topics every year
Yeah.
that I bring to you. It's always the predators. We didn't have much washover this year, but we did have predators. So once you start getting higher numbers, you have higher densities of nest, which gives predators, they become smart predators, right? There's a lot of food to be had in this particular source. A coyote is a scavenger, so they're going to go where the food is, and if you have a lot of eggs on the ground, that's going to be a place where they're going to be scavenging. So it's very classic to have that happen as your numbers go up. Yes, Rich?
How many coyotes do we have out there? Do we know?
We don't know.
Okay.
I mean, coyotes maintain a territory. We see coyote track all the time, but coyote put down quite a bit of track. You know, so there's definitely areas that we know are dens. By the gatehouse, there's one, and out by Trail 4. But you know, I would say that that a predator like that, or they generally
They move
maintain their numbers. They're not. It's not going to get overrun.
And there's a bunch right below my house there, because
That's
I hear them every
always a
night.
den, yeah.
And there's a mother with at least 4 pups that I see out in the marsh together. Then we had the one that was injured that was in my front yard last week. Had a bad leg. I don't know whatever happened to that one, but there's at least, I would say, 6 to 8 or so right down the bottom of where our houses are in Point Hill that are always there. And at night lately, they've been really loud. So, yeah.
Thanks.
Any other questions on plovers? Okay, diamondback terrapins, bonkers. Absolutely bonkers, 609 nests. So part of that, so diamondback terrapins, as I've mentioned, do quite well south of here. We had such a warm spring, so we were hypothesizing that what's happening south of us is females will nest more than once a year, right? But our season for them to nest, since they're driven by temperature, is too narrow, and we always sort of figured up here they were getting 1 nest in a year. But it was so warm for so long, we think that that's part of the number here, is that these females were coming up twice. And we actually are pit tagging our turtles, and we recaptured a turtle that had already nested. So even though it was just one female, that doesn't make a, that makes a hypothesis. That doesn't make a,
Yeah.
you know, like, we're guessing that that's why the number is so high this year. So 609 nests is a lot of nests. Matt, our guy Matt, was pretty busy this year. We are doing our Head Starting program this year. We're giving everybody one, or last year we gave everybody 1 turtle, not 2. Pete, you have 1, right?
We just won. We haven't. Yeah, it's been standard 1 now for several years.
Yeah, for several years. So it just felt like the numbers were just going so crazy. But we have extra ones in case the 1 isn't viable. So we had started at 31 organizations. I would say in the 2025 season, it's going to be even more, because we've increased. We got High West in, Woods Hole Group, that's our consultants that did this project for us. They're like,
They
please,
got one?
please, please, and I was like, oh, sure. So they have a turtle.
Tom would like one at his house.
John would
Margie
like
Margie like,
the town manager used to have one. I'm not sure if he still does. Yeah, they're spread around doing their magic everywhere. Pete, you love your turtle?
Yeah, but I don't like the name my students chose because it's a school-wide vote. I call him Lobo, but that is short for lobotomy.
Oh, no.
Oh,
They're high school students.
Bob, are you saying we gave you a dumb turtle?
No. I think maybe my students. I didn't say that.
Moving right along.
Any other questions about turtles?
geographically, are they still sort of spreading out? I think
Yes.
last year you said that they are increasing their territory
A little bit, yeah.
substantially.
Yep.
And that doesn't include the south side of the
Oh.
harbor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That
we're
was my
definitely-
Over there,
question.
too.
So you're talking about being on the other side of the harbor?
Yep. We've seen
Yeah.
a number of turtle strikes, unfortunately, at 6A now because the numbers are going up. So, all right, turtles
the
are doing
number,
well.
just real quick, the numbers per data is that the stopping the orange crate, the milk crate thing? Is that
Yeah,
helped?
I mean, that number's a little wishy-washy, because that's like at the moment we do the report, but
Yeah.
you could have, at any given night,
You don't know, yeah.
you could lose a ton more. That's kind of how it rolls with that stuff. Turns did better this year. We had 143 lease turn pairs and some commons, which was fun. We actually had oyster catchers this year. 2 pairs. One was a thruplet. Thruple. So I had never heard of this, but in nature sometimes there's 3 that are doing a nest, 2 females and a male. Unfortunately, the nest didn't make it, but do I have that right? Was it 2 nests and 1 male?
Two nests, one male.
There it is.
So so that made them a throuple. So they had the 2 nests, and unfortunately, didn't work out so great, but the male was very busy, obviously.
And those eggs are
huge. Right.
So that's a
Oh.
yummy yum egg for.
What do those eggs look like?
They look like an egg you would eat, but spotted, but big.
Green and gray?
They look like a rock, spotted rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I saw one floating out at Sandy Neck, floating in the water.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
It could have
I
been.
was out in the boat, and there it was.
It could have been a willet too. That's a willet egg as
I
well.
mean, it's the size of a regular egg that you buy at Stop and Shop.
Okay, yep.
Yeah.
Good. Well, there you have it. So turns, even though the numbers are a little bit better, the productivity was very, very poor again, and that's predation.
we never talk about the beloved ospreys, but
So let's talk about the ospreys. We
I know
should
in our
check out-
nest by the gatehouse, there were 3 chicks there that looked like they all survived because they're late. They mated, and there was something went wrong. I think it even
Yeah, they lost the first clutch, and then they tried again, and we ended up with 3. We were a little bit worried about them being so late, but with the weather so nice, there
Yeah.
was no problem at all. And all 3 of them were fishing. The parents took off. They said, "We're done with you," and they fished, and then all 3 of them left.
How about the rest of Sandy Neck? Any
Halfway
sense of how
house.
it?
Halfway
Yeah.
House did well.
2, I think, on the halfway.
There's a few of those nests that we don't usually see.
Yeah.
Muscle Point had babies.
Trail 2?
Trail 2 also.
Yeah, Trail 2 had babies.
What about Muscle Point?
That's what you just said.
Oh, I missed that, I'm sorry.
Muscle Point, yeah.
Okay.
Muscle Point also had
Yeah.
chicks. I mean, it seemed to be, there were several nests like along 6A that didn't, but then everybody else did great.
I mean, osprey are doing really well.
Yeah.
Everybody can see that.
Yep.
We have, I think in 10 years, we're going to be talking about eagles too, quite a bit.
I think
Yeah.
it'll be sooner than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're moving.
Just like we didn't have turkeys back in the day, now they're everywhere, I think. We definitely had some eagles on the south side this year in Barnstable, fighting it out for the nests. Yep.
No sightings at Sandy Neck, though.
Oh, we
yeah.
do see them
We'll see
there,
them.
but we don't see them nesting.
No, we'll see them on the beach. We'll see them fly over.
Oh, yeah, we see
But
them.
not nesting yet.
Yep.
Wow. I saw a turkey vulture sitting on the beach, eating something that had washed up.
That's what they
I
do.
haven't seen that in a long time.
They've been around. I mean, they're big birds, too.
Yeah,
Yeah, they do.
they're kind of scary looking.
Yeah, they are. All righty.
Hi, a meeting, yeah. It's Amber. All right, so strandings last year, we had 9 Kemps Ridleys, 2 loggers, only 11 at Sandy Neck. I think we're in for potentially a bigger year because we've already had 6. Wetland restoration, I continue to plow forward with my wetland restoration. The Phragmites is back under control after our storms from 2018. We had a lot of Phragmites after that. So now I'm deep into the rusty willow removal, using AmeriCorps primarily. So that's been productive. I think we would lose our cranberry bogs pretty quickly if we weren't getting after that rusty willow. So that looks like pussy willow, but a little bit different, doesn't have that sort of, what would that word be, like weeping look. And it makes a ton of seeds and starts along the edge of our cranberry bogs, and then the seeds proliferate and they just start taking over the inside until all your cranberry's gone. It's just a shrub wetland.
So as I'm hunting out there and I see all kinds of cut vegetation, that's the willow.
That's the willow.
Excellent, because I also see that you're stacking it in places that will probably catch some sand. Cool.
I was talking directly to Pete on my wetland restoration. Did you see that? I was like, you like that, right? I love it. This is one of my favorites. Okay.
So in summary, you're winning the battle against Phragmites.
Yeah, I don't
And-
think
and the
I'm winning
willow.
it. I'm maintaining it. I'm maintaining my position. All right, enforcement was really interesting this year. We had 33 citations, which is just about average. None or maybe one, we're going to do another report on this, but very few alcohol issues related to the citations. Written warnings 10, 301 verbal warnings. That's very classic. That's just about the right number. So that's the, hey, slow down. I'm going to grab your sticker number. Don't do it again. You know, your tires are a little high. Put your dog on a leash. Now we got your name. We're constantly interfacing with the public. So that's what that number is. I think I want to see that number high. I don't think that's representing a beach that's out of control. That's representing staff doing their job.
Yeah.
So what messages would you have in the event there's any public listening that could help to keep that number lower? What are the 2 or 3?
The 2 or 3, well, I mean, I definitely would recommend watching that video. So when you purchase your sticker, it's on the website as well. I showed it to everybody here. When you purchase your sticker, you have to click on it and watch it. And those are the things that everybody gets in trouble with. Stick your sticker on your windshield, or Donna
That's
will
number
get
one.
really angry at
Number
you.
one.
Air your tires down, have your equipment, no
Dogs
glass
off
bottles, keep your dog on a leash.
Yeah, those are the
That's
pretty
about it.
highlights.
Oh, don't speed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Officer Kelsey,
Any
I want to add
perspective from you,
anything to
Chris,
that? Those are the nut and bolts of what we do.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically it. I mean, I think this year, if there was anything that I noticed, I think the speed was up a little bit, and the number of people not airing down, I thought was up a little bit. But other than that, I think enforcement-wide, I don't even think we arrested anybody out there this year. Did we?
I thought you did.
Well, usually it is me, but I'm trying to remember
Was
if I
that
did.
this year?
Other years we've had a couple, but this
Yeah.
year? I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Well, we're going to dig into the nitty-gritty of those numbers, and hopefully Chris will be here for the January meeting, where
January
we can
meeting, yeah.
actually, because it's been so many years, they're kind of blending.
Well, that's part of the problem. I mean, so for that, I mean, we can go back into, obviously, your numbers. I can go back into our calls for service, and we can give you a real answer on that.
Okay, good.
But only 2 permit revocations, so that's really good. And then no trespassings, no trespasses, and that's really good. So the no trespasses are usually the really big deals where people are acting badly, and we haven't had that no trespass in a number of years. Revenue. So revenue was up. We're at 1.345, so million for those of you at home. 1,345,332. Let me move this down so we can all see this. Sorry about that, people at home. So real quickly, just going through them, because I got a lot of questions, so I'm going to preemptive this and just go through them. Beach parking is your hang tags. They're $25 each. We did well there. ORV permits, we made $793,000. That is up. So we're doing quite well in the ORV permit sales. Campfire permits, very, very popular in Sandy Neck. Again, we've had this discussion, but quite a bit of effort for us to provide that service. $8,700 for,
Can you just scroll it up so we can see the
Oh.
relationship between the tickets sold and the money? So it's-
yes.
Yeah, there you go, thanks.
Special permits are for large groups, weddings, et cetera, is the next one, 780. Camping fees, so that's all your camper nights, your chase nights, and your tenting nights, 64,984. Horse fees, we do have a lot of horses on the beach, but they tend to be spring and fall.
Yeah.
So $1,700 for that.
That seems like a low number. Did we used to have more horses
Well, you
out there at one
can run
time?
across the line there. It seems
Yeah.
about
Right.
the same for the
20.
last 5 years.
I guess the reason why I'm asking about it is I'm wondering if there's something we can do to have more horses out there, if we want to have more horses out there. I mean, are we charging too much? Have you gotten any feedback?
They get a great deal, even if they come when we're charging for the parking lot. We don't charge them for their trailer and their vehicle in the
Yeah.
parking lot, because that would be like $100 by the side of the trailer and the vehicle. So we have locations where we can park them. There's just not as many people that have horses, because
Yeah.
horses are expensive.
Yeah.
And in the one stable that comes out of Grafton, they didn't even come as often as they usually do. It's an expensive proposition, to get their horses down here and get people out there. So it's just, I don't think we're definitely not charging that much. I mean, how many people can ride on the beach? I really do think it's just that there's less people that have horses.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well.
Okay.
Sandwich revenue, that goes up every year, so we're at 61,000-ish for sandwich. That's,
So that's a big jump from the previous years, right?
Something happened there, yeah.
They had a very big year in Sandwich.
no, I gotta wonder if you're right. I don't know why
Well,
that's
it's
so
a
high.
lease, though. It should be a fixed amount with a fixed percentage increase, so it shouldn't
Yes.
be
You know,
jumping,
I don't know, I think I would agree with you. I don't know why that's so high. I should have picked up on that.
Because isn't it like escalation of 2% a year? or something like
2.5,
that?
which is the
Yeah.
typical.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah,
And
that might
that's
be,
a-
that
that's
might
a
be a
big jump.
typo.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, I will look into that. Beach concession, we get $6,000 this year for rent of the concession stand.
How did they do this year? Good?
They
Pretty
did
good.
well, and he started going on the beach and selling ice cream, which was crazy.
That's a good idea.
So we're actually going to reevaluate. We're on a 1-year permit lease this, so we're going to reevaluate that. But
I thought
Yeah,
it
he
was a
was-
3-year.
it was a 3-year, but now we're going year by
Oh,
year.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, he would go down the beach playing music on Spotify. Like, I guess there's a station called
No, it's ice cream truck music.
Ice Cream Truck Music, and they would pipe it out, and
Yeah.
then would lose their minds. Losing their
I'll have
minds.
to ask you to send it, and I'll send it to you guys. Everybody, his son was doing the ice cream out of the truck, and there was a crowd like it was a concert. I'm
Yeah.
not kidding, it was really.
That was
fun.
probably my camp.
Good.
It was probably-
Is how much? Yeah. How much did you spend on
Oh,
ice cream this summer? Could you guys hear the music?
Yeah, and you can see his flag, which is really helpful
No.
and stuff. If you're down by the water, you can't hear the music, but I got used to looking for the flag, you know what I mean? And then I'd be like, okay, there.
So,
Well, it's nice to see that outreach.
Yeah, no.
Right on.
I
They
mean,
do
I
good.
think it's a beautiful service. I mean,
Yeah.
I do think we need to reevaluate, but yeah. And the funny thing too, side story, was the first time he did it, he didn't have his decals on his truck, so it was just this green truck driving down the beach, and everybody's like, "You can't do that. That's not allowed."
Wow, everybody,
I was
they're
like,
so bad.
everybody's taking care of the beach.
It did look a little shady.
I did like
Especially being green.
so,
so they switched up.
so he was driving down the beach selling his wares without.
Just ice cream.
Just like,
Okay, without permission?
No, he had permission. He worked through the town. We had a amendment to his permit. We worked
Okay.
kind of all winter to make that happen with the health department. Yeah.
So I think, yeah, maybe there's an opportunity to evaluate the rental agreement that we have. I think it only makes sense. There may be money we're leaving on the table if this is a new
I think we
revenue
talked
source.
about this before, and we've kind of, I thought, agreed that this is a service,
Yeah.
you know,
It-
to the customer. We want to have, we don't want
tiny
to
amount
price
of money
somebody
to
out of
us.
there, and then we don't have, you know, we have a bathhouse with nobody producing food. I think you got to be careful with the pricing on something like
Yeah, and
that.
it's not like he's, you know,
I doubt he's making a fortune at it. You know.
exactly,
How do you
exactly.
know that?
Well, we don't, unless we did his books, but,
Okay,
More
you
power
don't,
to
you
him
don't,
if he is.
But what I will also.
yeah, and if he is, good for him. you know.
there's no profit and
provide
loss. You're not
financials.
looking at
He's
the
not
money.
looking
You're
at
he
just-
has to provide financials.
Yeah.
He does provide those?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So there's a-
Okay.
Everything's above board.
So there's an opportunity, because I know on the rec side, finding your vendor, especially at Calmus, it has been difficult. So I think we want to make sure we're mindful that there was a year. Yeah, that he's welcome and that we can host it, because we've had situations where we have not found the vendor. Correct. So we can.
Disaster.
Yeah, and so John Gleason and his team can help, because this is a service for the public that's there, and without it, it's a real disservice to be on the beach hungry without an option.
The
So
fact that we get $6,000 out of it, which is.
Yeah, that's good.
It's great, you know, and you have the service, you have someone who's happy as a vendor. That's,
that
Their
years
season
without
is
it.
so short, too.
It's so-
It's so short.
And it's so,
oh
like,
my-
you- it's like
and-
one rainy
yeah.
weekend can
Can make or break him,
you. Yeah,
and
it's pretty
no.
rough.
plus, he has to set up everything every year, break it down at the end of the year. I mean, there's a lot of work that goes into that.
In the best case situation, the vendor that we had, it became a destination. So it was another way to bring the people in, and that
Yeah, that's
vendor
what's happened
kind
here.
of retired out.
Yeah, that's what's happened here. People come literally just to eat at the snack shack.
Yeah, his food
Because
is
his
so
food
good.
is so good.
Yeah, they'll walk down from our neighborhood, that all along Sandy Neck Road, just walk down there to have a hamburger or whatever.
So some managers are much better than others. Some are very successful, they make lots of money at it. The concession stand up in Orleans, Nauset Beach, phenomenal.
Liam's,
Yes, phenomenal, the business he did there. There's another guy that's on 6A in one of those, neighborhood grocery stores. I forget the name of the place, that he has his vehicle that he drives around. Very successful. I mean, some people are just very successful at knowing how to make money and being aggressive. And it just seems like if we get a profit and loss from him, that's important. That's probably very good to see how much money he's making.
Well, he negotiates with the town, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, so.
And he.
I don't know how much we should be talking about, since it is a
Yeah,
negotiation.
okay.
I-
You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
It's really not
Absolutely
Sandy
right.
Neck, it's a
So
town.
I'll just end by saying, I think we should be evaluating that situation very closely to see if it makes sense.
Ivy?
I think also
Where's Ivy?
a woman that runs the store next to Amari's, that new provisions store, is she selling stuff out on the beach too?
Yeah, I think that all that should be probably discussed.
I think it's, yeah,
off the record.
Okay.
I think we should move on.
Thank you.
Great job with the merch, by the way, you guys.
Yep.
I mean,
All right, so cottage leases, we're at 57.5, which is just about what it costs. I know but the numbers bounce around. I tell you this every year. That's because they're due around the end of the fiscal year. Parking stickers. So this is what I wanted to highlight. So the town of Barnstable residents contribute $96,440 for their parking stickers. So that's the chunk of money we get from the $45 that we as Barnstable residents give the rec department. Then the rec department gives the enterprise account $96,440. Whereas the town of Sandwich gives us, I think that figure's wrong, but somewhere between the 50s and the 60s. Sorry about that figure being wrong. So I just want to point that out, that those,
Less than us.
it's less. So those permits, the Sandwich permits cost less for the Sandwich residents,
And we
and
get
then
less.
we get less. And the Barnstable residents pay more, and we get more. So, there you have it.
And the parking stickers is an allocation through the accounting department for all of the
Right,
parking throughout the whole town for all the different beaches, and they
Right.
allocate probably based on the number of parking spaces
Exactly.
we have.
right.
So in other words, you could say that probably the town in general, the fees went down a little bit from previous years, or from the previous year, not
From the
years.
previous year, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's an allocation.
Yep.
Got it.
Merchandise, we did about $50,000 in merchandise this year. Thank you, Donna.
that's a pretty, I mean, we don't have all the numbers here, but I can remember when that was 15,000
Me too.
or 10,000, you know, those of us that were,
Started it.
I mean, you guys did a hell of a job with that.
I would say this total area, when we get down to the total revenue, given, Tom, what you spoke about in terms of the time ahead, anything that is creative here, like the merchandising, to get us even in a better position for our future project, this is an area that we might be able to really
That's
stretch a
what we
little
work on
bit.
every year.
Yeah.
And that's why you can see the numbers pretty well consistently going up.
Yeah, I mean, the number of ORV badges sold went down, but the cost, the fees, the revenue went up, and that's to some extent because we've been raising the fees.
Because I mean, again, I think of the job you did and the illustration of what's to come. So there's an opportunity to kind of put that in the merchandise. I think it's a great opportunity to keep it growing and growing more, because the project is going to need every penny we can get here.
I mean, the big levers, you know, I hear what Bill's saying, but the big levers are not the concession stand, you know. The big levers are the fees.
In our merchandising, I think that.
Well, I think
Merchandise is a-
adding the kids from Barnstable High that did the artwork, and we would like to expand
Yeah.
on that. Because when folks come in to purchase or whatever, we tell them, hey, these are local kids who actually
Yes.
designed this T-shirt, or designed that hat.
We'll
And
give Don a
they'll-
target of 100,000 for next year and see what happens.
No.
And maybe
Hi,
for our
Chris.
meeting, you know, one meeting we may have not a lot of content. I think that might even be a good topic, just to get the word out for the listening audience, to get
Yeah, I
the
mean,
word out.
you could get really, you could get some of the, I don't know what the demographics are of the people that buy the stuff, but 50,000 is nothing to sneeze at. That's a lot of,
So I'm a major,
so without you, the ice cream business and the merchandise goes down the tube.
you have to have grandkids and kids on the beach at the same
Yeah.
time, so you get a double whammy, okay?
Yeah.
Quick clarification. I take it that 50,000 is in proceeds minus the expenses?
Right, exactly.
Oh,
Yes,
that's a
revenue.
net. That's a net figure?
Yep, that's the way the enterprise runs, yep.
Oh, great,
Very good.
okay.
Thanks, Chris.
That's not a net, that's
It's a gross figure.
a gross.
It's revenue. It's revenue.
Sales,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
we don't have the net
They
figure.
don't, I don't want to get into the P&L discussion we've had for 8 years, but effectively, it's the revenue side. They're not showing the cost side in this
Yeah,
report.
okay.
Yep.
All right, back to Nina.
All right, Pete has his hand up, though.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
So-
yeah, Pete.
So this 61,000 from Sandwich Beach parking. Again,
Weird, I don't know.
well, it doesn't matter. 50, 60, it doesn't matter. It should be more. Second question I got on that. And just remind the public and me, the ORV permit from a Sandwich resident, do they get any, okay, good. So they're paying out of town ORV
Right.
permit.
Yep.
So I don't understand why they are still getting a break on beach parking.
Yeah, well, as you know, this has been a discussion that we've had
Exactly.
here for at least
And I want to keep
10
that.
years. I've been on
I
board.
want to keep hammering that. It's
Yeah, I guess the
ridiculous.
question always becomes, how do you manage it? It's really a town issue because
Right.
it's a negotiation between Barnstable and Sandwich, and we don't know what else, what other things are being negotiated that
Well, we'll
come
keep
into
screaming,
play.
or at least I will.
But, I mean, I guess at some point, I could broach the subject with Mark. I don't know if it's appropriate for me to do that or with Mark Milne, just to highlight it, or whether it's something you'd rather do, Nina. But,
It's a political question.
yeah, it's not really it's not really the board. I mean, we've highlighted it for 10 years. And I'm sure Nina and her team have talked about it as well,
It's not based on population, that Sandwich is a smaller town than Barnstable, and so.
Sandwich is definitely a smaller town, but they have so much fewer beaches, too. So Sandy Neck is their, pretty much their marquee beach, right? They have Town Neck,
Yeah, yeah.
which is also
Roading.
a beautiful beach. I don't know how many parking spots they have, but they certainly don't have a concession stand or a bathroom
Right.
or lifeguards. They have beautiful freshwater beaches, but they're little tiny beaches, So
I was just trying to figure out how they were basing their revenue structure. Like, to me, is it, just based on population or,
Oh, wait a sec, I sort of have a question. Can I use a Sandwich Lakeside Beach?
It's not
With my-
reciprocal.
it's not reciprocal.
But it probably should be if
No,
it's.
no,
I mean,
why do you want to go over there?
I have no clue how it got established, but my guess is at some point in some negotiation, they said, "Oh, let's make it 50 grand," and then they increased it a couple thousand a year, and that's how it's worked. It's
That was
probably
negotiated
not a lot of
20 years
science,
ago.
right. So,
Actually, I did a cost of service analysis many years ago, and at that time, this was a third of the cost of running the public beach. But since then, and then there was a small increase every year, but since then, the costs have increased
More
a
than
lot,
Yeah.
especially since we've had debt service.
So I would say that given what's ahead, maybe there's an opportunity to reassess it. I don't fully understand the details, but
I mean, I think in a normal course of business, just 1 second, that it really should come from you guys to, well, it's your budget.
I mean,
It's your budget. If it was my budget and I thought I had a chance to increase the revenue, it would be my responsibility to go to my boss and say, we have an opportunity here.
But we can make a recommendation.
Now, if he gets slapped down, that's fine, but at least, because
This is you, not them, no.
well, I don't care. Look, I have no problem with doing it, but I can't,
Tom, we had
I'm not going
someone
to lose my
else.
job here. Rich?
Years ago, we went through this discussion as a board.
Yep.
And it was always left to the town manager to take and meet with Bud Dunham, the town manager of Sandwich, and to take and bring up the issue and the concerns. Given that we now have a big nut to crack, it would seem to me that we could ask Mark Ells to go and reach out to Bud Dunham and say, listen, it's been 2% a year for 20 years or
I actually
15
have
years.
and everything else has
And
increased.
everything else, it hasn't
Increasing
remained
faster
static.
than that.
We need to renegotiate what goes on here. But I think if we could ask Mark Ells to come and chat with us and bring forward our concern based on the numbers here, that it would probably be something that we could advocate for to help keep the cost kind of like in line, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, our job is to point out, as I
Right.
said to the town council a few weeks ago, our job is to point out opportunities and risks
Correct.
to the
I see
board,
an
to the
opportunity
board,
based on what
to the
you
town
said.
council.
Yep.
This is an opportunity, so I'm happy to write a letter. I don't think we want to bring Mark in to have the discussion in public, but I would write the letter
Yeah.
to Mark and just say, look, for all the reasons
Yeah.
we've talked about for 10 years, there's an opportunity here. I recognize
Right. Yeah.
the broader scheme of things. There could be other things at play in terms of what they negotiate with Sandwich. I don't have any idea. But is there anything that can be done here? And
So do
would
we make a
appreciate-
motion for you to write the letter, second in discussion, so that we have something tangible for
That's
you to
fine.
work from?
That's fine if you want to, I don't know that we need a motion for it, but
I'll second that.
All right, so make an actual motion.
okay. The chair will write a letter to the town manager, Mark Ells, highlighting the opportunity that exists with respect to the Sandwich yearly beach fees
In light of,
in light of the funding we're going to need for the project,
I
which
think
is
that
upcoming.
that gives it a little bit of.
Yeah, I mean, I'll have that in the letter, but.
Reality.
I'll second that. Further discussion?
Yeah.
I think it would be nice to know, have some ammunition that shows, I know this is an administrative nightmare maybe for you, Nina, but if we could show the numbers of people from Sandwich that are using the parking, if we had some figures that we could show them, then it becomes irrefutable. You know, here's the proof of the use, you know, they're using it 50% of the time, and, you know, they're only paying a third of, or not even a third of the cost, whatever the percentage is. That's irrefutable, right?
Yeah, we don't have those numbers, so that would take another year to get it.
Can we project it and say we will follow up with real numbers? At least get the discussion going.
I think that you can make the claim very easily just with the cost of services increased greatly. I don't think you need to prove the claim based on
I would
use.
go with cost of
Cost of service
services,
is
which
a
are very
very-
tangible,
yes.
that you can provide.
I mean, just show the
Those
cost
data
of
that already
service.
exist.
I've done a cost of service analysis for the public beach many times. In fact, this is what we did last time when we did the bathhouse, and we took out a $1 million loan, and I did a cost of service again at that point. This amount used to be $15,000 when I took over in 2020.
I was right, and it was just a guess.
2003. So it's 15,000. I did a cost of service analysis in the early 2000s, came up with this number, and then did another one for the bathhouse.
Right.
And at that time, it was decided that the town of Sandwich did not want to fund our capital improvement project. So that's why it's political. That's a decision between the town managers. I do think we need to reevaluate it now that we're doing another big project, but I do want to point out that we don't know how much it's going to cost the town yet, right? State grant should cover Sandwich people. So you really have to wait until you understand how much of it is on the town, because it's access. Access is access at a state level. Doesn't matter if it's Barnstable or Sandwich.
But even if we're
No,
not
I
talking
thought-
about funding,
Correct.
we're talking about the cost of
Correct.
electricity has gone
Correct.
up, we're talking about.
That's what I-
That I
correct.
can do,
Lifeguards,
yeah.
we're
Yes, I did
talking
not
about
mean the-
Garbage.
Remember what you
Oh,
said.
right.
Correct.
The actual.
Staff.
Staff.
Yeah, operating costs.
Operating
cost
costs.
has
Yep.
gone up.
My
yeah.
apologies.
I mean, it's likely that with the project, it's going to, potentially, and it's always hard to figure because you have the debt on the bathhouse, you have that's coming off in a few years, you've got potential debt on this project that may be coming on. There could be overlap, who knows at this point. But it's possible the cost of service could go up based on that debt service. We don't know for sure. But you could be able to just do what Donna said, just do what's our current cost of service in whatever way you measure, and just say that's, this has gone up 2% a year, this has gone up 5-6% a year. There's a train wreck, somewhere here about to happen. So
And no extra work, I would say.
And anecdotally, we know that it's a heavily used beach by Sanders residents, and then see what happens.
They know that too.
I think this is the kind of thing you either get an opening to quickly or you get swatted quickly. And I think that's what the
Let's
letter
give it a
will
try.
intend to do, is to find that out, and then we'll go from there, So I'll write up a letter, and
Perfect.
I'll send you guys
I'd be
copies.
happy
Thank you.
to look into that with you and do a
Yeah,
cost of service.
fine.
All right, and earnings on investment, I guess it was a great year to invest. What do I know?
That was one of my risks I wrote down was,
Oh, sorry, there's a motion on the floor.
oh, sorry.
For you to write.
Thank
sorry.
you, Wendy.
Thank you. Thank you, listening audience.
Our adjunct,
All in favor?
my adjunct board member. All in favor? Aye, okay.
I,
Should have voted against it, but
Okay.
the investment stuff is a kind of interesting risk, when you look at that, because, it's been pretty good for the last couple of years, but interest rates are going down a
Well,
lot.
we're just about to take $1 million
Yeah.
out of that.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, that's the
I did
reserve-
look up-
reserve fund.
Just,
Yeah.
I don't know, so I got this straight out of our accounting, so this might be a mistake on their part, but the sandwich revenue is supposed to be 55.5 for fiscal year '24, and I don't,
55.5.
yeah,
okay.
I don't know why it's so high. But I calculated that back and forth in every different direction, so I don't know what's going on there.
That's fine.
And it goes up 2.5% every year.
Yeah.
Just don't send them a refund.
No, I'm not refunding anybody. All right.
Can I just add something before we leave that subject? I think it'd be helpful if we also showed in that same section, I think it would make sense, show what the reserve fund amount is at the end of each fiscal year. I
Yep.
think that's a nice number to see. This year, it'd be $1,550,000 or whatever that number
Yeah,
was
the
we
rate,
talked about.
as of, free cash as of July 1st, 2024 is $1,488,214.
That's great. So if we could see that number and we see it for the previous years, we can see, we're not doing a profit and loss. Don't worry, we're not going to show a profit and loss. But you can see our profitability by looking at that number.
I mean, it's cost going back in too, but if you want that, I'd be happy to put that.
Yeah, I think it'd be great to have that
Usually
number
don't.
each year.
It takes forever to get certified, so.
Well,
I mean, it's not going to be a surrogate for profit,
Yeah.
because it's going to jump, those
yeah, and it
reserves
doesn't
tend
have
to
to be
jump
the
up and down
certified number
quite a
either.
bit, Okay, let's go.
Thank you. And so permits, we're right on target with permits. You can see that Barnstable resident 141432, Barnstable residents, non-residents, hold on, I need my glasses. 2,823, very strong. And I say that because we just went up on the permit sales, I think we're fine. Very strong, that number. Camping nights, as I mentioned before, that includes chase and camper fees, 3,376, so up a little bit. Escorts, this is cottage owner escorts.
Great.
Oh, thank you. So we as staff want escorts down. That looks good to our permits, for our permits, because we want less cottage owner trips through plover habitat, right? So less probability of a take. So last year, we had a bit of a bump. We acknowledged that that was really just one family or one person. So I'm not sure what happened there, but it certainly is better this year. So we only had 11 escorts. So real quick, hunting is happening as we speak for pheasant. Tent camping nights, very popular, 309 nights, and that's with July and half of August blacked out. We don't allow anybody to tent camp those months. Campfire permits, 433, as I mentioned, over and over, a lot of work to manage that. Two-wheel drive tests, so 24 tests. Of that, 50% got stuck? Yeah. Oh my God. It's a lot of stuck campers.
What a pain in the butt.
Oh, very much
Oh, yeah.
so, hugely.
Yeah, we charge $25 for the test because we have to use staff to get out there. doesn't even begin.
Doesn't
Yeah,
even
no, I got it.
begin.
Yeah.
I mean, we could have
Hours.
3 staff members on it
I've seen it.
for hours
Yeah.
and hours. Yeah, so.
I hate to make this go longer, but I just have to ask, did they get stuck because of the actual conditions or because they didn't know how to drive in the conditions? What do you think?
Well, it's a new reg, so they have to work out what their tire pressure needs to be, what modifications they need to make. Maybe it's just never going to work out there.
Yeah.
A lot of driver error. So people who are really in the know, even though if they just got a new camper, Nina, I got a new camper, I got this thing, and they usually do. So I think it's more of rookie mistakes.
It's probably because they have, 30 pounds of pressure in their tires, mostly, right? Isn't that
I
usually what
think
it
it's a
is?
different thing. If you haven't driven on the sand and you've got a big rig like that, as soon as it starts to bump, you take your foot off the gas, biggest mistake
yeah.
you can do.
Yeah.
So then they start to bog down,
They
and
dig
instead
in,
of,
yeah.
taking it easy, letting a little more air out, they slam on the gas and you see the sand go and it's over.
Yeah,
It's over.
they're very close to the ground anyway. As soon as that frame hits, they're
Right.
done. So.
Yeah. And then they have fires because
Yeah.
they gunned it. Yeah.
Yeah. Special permits, 35, so those are your wedding groups, your gatherings, usually in the evening, in the summer. Daily horse permits, 18 permits, 28 rides, again, kind of on the shoulder seasons for those guys. Walks and talks, we did 5 Barnstable Land Trust walks where they sponsor it and our staff leads the hike. 3 Mass Audubon hikes. Beach cleanups, we had the 1 MBBA, thank you very much, in the
Yep.
spring, 1 Coast Sweep, thank you Donna, that's her baby, and 1 Cape Cod Commission, that one I didn't know about, but that one's cool. Junior Ranger we do every year, everybody loves it, super fun.
How many kids?
We keep it under
12.
12, yeah, it fills right up,
But you do it more than once during
No,
the?
just the one.
Just the one,
Yeah.
okay. 12 kids.
yep. Halfway House, 2 permits for the Cape Cod Art Association and 2 permits for Sturgis. You guys did 2 night trips?
I think so, and I'm going to try to get out there on the 7th of December.
Yes, Pete, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you know what, I had AmeriCorps out there twice this year, too, I forgot to put that on there. So, and then we had 8 portable toilets on the beach. I love how that's the last thing. But it is very important, I assure you. So that's our year on 3 pages. I will be presenting to the Conservation Commission as required by our permit or orders of conditions. I'll be doing that in December. But I do like to get it here to you guys first so you can have a pass at it.
Nice job.
Yeah.
Job, team.
Very
Very
good job.
Yep,
Great staff this year.
yep.
Okay, thanks, Nina. We just have one more thing on the agenda, which hopefully will take us 30 seconds, which is to confirm and vote on the meeting schedule for next year. The only thing I was going to mention is that on the October thing, we ought to have voting on fees, probably. Just add that to the calendar, because September we discussed them, and then the vote is October,
Well,
right?
It depends on, that's why we keep it this way, because some years we don't. We just have a discussion, say we're not going to raise it, so there's no vote on it. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but just leave the calendar, okay,
Right, so you want it to say
yeah,
vote
just,
on
then the way the
fees.
calendar's the same every year, we can adjust as need be, but just have a calendar that's kind of set. Can I didn't see anything controversial, and if any of you looked at it, you want to just have a quick motion to approve the meeting dates for next year?
I make a
I'll-
motion.
Second it.
Aye. Okay, motion's passed, thank you.
I ask a question.
Sure.
Will you send out everything so that we can put it on our calendars like you've done in years past?
Like every year, yes.
Yeah.
Next year goes as soon as,
He
December
he was
is when
missing
everything
for a
goes
couple
out.
of years.
Okay.
So you've
I've
been,
been
yes.
missing for a couple of years.
All of you, and then all of a sudden I get all this stuff back. I'm coming.
Yeah, don't respond to it.
No, it's okay.
Any public comment from our erstwhile?
Actually, Donna, do you populate the whole year on the town calendar as well at the same time? Oh, when you have your schedule? the 2025?
We don't
We
populate the
don't
town.
populate on the town calendar.
That's not us.
That's not us.
I think when we post the agenda, they put it on there, maybe.
When I send all this in December, when I set it all up.
Right.
And it goes, and that's when it gets populated. I don't do anything, but it does populate.
They do have, if you go to any of the committees, it has the whole
But
year.
it's from me initiating it by setting the dates and setting the
And
room. It's
reserving
a-
the room.
And reserving the
And that's probably
room.
what
That's-
does it.
And that's what
Reserve
does
the
it,
room.
yeah. Yeah.
Because that's helpful, because I don't think the rec department does that, because there was one time I was looking to book another meeting, and we booked it when the rec department meets, and I was speaking with Counselor Mendez, and he said, we can't meet that day for appointments, because that's when rec department, and I said, it's not on the calendar. So I wouldn't have been able to foresee a conflict if it's not already populated on the town calendar. So I think by reserving the room, that's what happens.
That's correct, yeah.
And
So-
we have so few in-person meetings now, so
I see.
we only have one a year, most of the other.
But even with
Zoom?
July.
meeting by Zoom,
Oh.
the public wouldn't know that
Right.
that's a meeting coming up in 3 months. If it's
Sandra
not-
does it month by month from my understanding.
Yeah.
But there is a way you're saying that you can do the whole year,
Yes.
and we can do that. So I can take that to her.
Yeah, that would,
You can ask Sarah Beal, she'll help.
Right.
Okay, she's
for
really
those who go
good
to
at.
more than one meeting.
Yeah, I will
Helps.
definitely,
Yeah.
because we can help her.
Thank you.
Okay, so you weren't here earlier, Chris, but I just want to say thank you to you. I was kind of generally just thanking everybody for their support of this project and
Yeah.
getting the funding, but thank you to you for your support and to the rest of the town council for,
That was easy. That was-
yeah, I wish they were all these. Anyway, okay, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Second move.
All in favor? Aye.
You didn't ask Wendy if she had anything to say?
I
Yeah,
did.
she did.
I did.
He did.
I did.
All right.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Needed to vote on that thing that we did.